There is a desire that arises in certain lifetimes that is not your ordinary kind of desire. We're very familiar with ordinary desires. They're part of the perpetuation of life form. The desire to eat serves the continuance of the life form. It's a natural desire. It's found in all kingdoms. And it's fine. But this desire for true freedom, desire for real fulfillment, which appears in your lifetime, paradoxically, can only be realized if you don't do anything for its realization. Now, this cannot be believed. And so, you are given lots of things to do. But what you are given to do is designed to wear down your desire for doing. In meditation practice, which I'm sure many of you have or have had or tried to have, there is either a focusing and a concentration of the mind or a stilling of the mind and body. And what that points to, eventually, is that when the mind's activity is at rest, there is fulfillment, there is peace. There are meditations where you do prostrations, where you do service, and all of those meditations are designed to still the mind so that it is not obsessing on what object is needed to reveal this true fulfillment, to reveal the resolution of the longing for truth. When I met my teacher, I had attempted many forms of meditation. Obviously not successfully, or I wouldn't have still had the desire. I had had moments of beauty, moments of transcendence, moments of true knowing, and yet the underlying longing, the underlying sense of, how do I get it? How do I keep it? I've got to find a way. I've got to find out how. Was still operating. So I prayed for a teacher, and I met my teacher. And my teacher told me to stop, just as I've mentioned in here the past 2 nights. He extended to me an invitation, which I am happy to extend again to you. This moment, stop right where you are. Stop all effort to get whatever it is you think will give you fulfillment. Whatever it is you think will give you truth. All that is required is one instant of truly stopping. This one instant is elusive to most people because in approaching the instant of stopping, there usually arises an enormous welling of fear. If I stop, if I really stop, there is the fear that I will slide back, that I will lose the ground that I have gained through my efforts, through my practices. Even though I'm still not fully satisfied, I'm more satisfied. It's a better life. My mind is calmer. My circumstances are better. And I might lose all of that. That's the risk. Sooner or later, all will be lost anyway. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's reality. This whole lifetime will be lost. All the accumulations of this lifetime will be lost. If you have faith in other lifetimes, then this lifetime is a hope that the next lifetime you will stop. It was quite extraordinary for me to hear this from my teacher, this stop. I was certain that he was going to give me some secret knowledge. Well, it is secret knowledge, but it's only secret because it's so obvious. It is not esoteric. I was certain that he would whisper some magical formula in my ear, and he did. He said, "Stop. Stop." It was so simple that I was thrown. I stopped. He threw me to the floor with that, not physically, but literally. My mind stopped. And there is fulfillment. And more. More than can ever be imagined. What we imagine as fulfillment has to do with lack of pain or more pleasure, lack of conflict or more peace, more acknowledgement, more love. This is all what can be imagined. But true fulfillment cannot be imagined. It can only be realized. I speak to very many people, well, very many more people than I ever dreamed I would be speaking to, all over the world. The excuses are the same all over the world. I speak to people in prison. The excuses are the same. And when the excuses are dropped, when the justification stops, when there is a willingness to let go for one instant everything that one has learned about what one needs to do to get fulfillment, there is fulfillment. I have been with men in Folsom Prison who are doing life in prison, and I watch them weep in the fulfillment of their own heart. Big, burly, bad-looking men. I have watched so-called spiritual seekers with their tightly knit categories refuse to surrender for one instant. I don't know which category you're in, prisoner or spiritual seeker. But the invitation is offered just as freely to one as the other. And the capacity is just as great in one as the other. It may be harder for the spiritual seeker than the prisoner, because the prisoner has no hope. These men who are doing life are absolutely disillusioned with how it turned out. They failed. It didn't work. All their grandiose ideas, all their schemes didn't work. And they know it, the ones who are mature enough to face it. They know it. And in that knowingness there is a ripeness. There is a willingness to bear the horror that goes with the disillusionment. And in that bearing of the horror of the disillusionment, there is an opening. what is real? Who am I? What is life? What is free this moment?
Yes, when I read your invitation, after seeing an article in the paper, I went to the website and I read your invitation and I came home to myself. It was instant. It was finally, I was given permission not to search out there anymore. I was home. And that's what happened for me.
And this is such great news.
Yes, yes.
Instant, that's the truth.
Yes, it was there. No more questioning. And I was trying harder probably than most everybody in this room. For years and years. I'm Swiss, so it just comes with
it comes with the territory.
It comes with the territory. And it was just, I had heard it before in different ways from different teachers, but you said it in such a simple way that it was just like home. It was coming home.
Good news.
Yes. But the other thing I wanted to say about practice, you know, when we have those disciplined practice that we have to do, is almost drudgery. But there's another form that I have found. As it calls me to do it, I go in to that place. Like self-inquiry in a way. And I found the deepest well of peace. And in whatever the weather out there, I can deal with it.
This is understanding the sanctuary of oneself and really what the point of practice is.
Yes.
But that point has been so corrupted that I have to spend a lot of time talking against practice. But let's forget the word practice. If we don't call it practice, if we call it just stopping for a moment and retreating into the sanctuary of peace that is oneself. Yes, this of course is natural and beautiful, and honoring the truth of yourself, the truth that is home, recognizing, oh, whatever is going on, oh, home. And then it's not a practice, it's alive, it's now. It's not practicing so that, it's here. Yes, then meditation, chanting, prayer, singing, sitting, dancing, living is in honor of that.
Yes.
Oh, I'm very happy you speak this so clearly. And what good news, so instantaneous. That's the truth.
Yes. So I'm here to say thank you for this.
Oh, I'm very happy to say you're welcome.
It's a beautiful invitation.
Yes, and the proof of acceptance. Good. Yes, my repeating question to you is always, will you accept the invitation? Will you accept the invitation? And here you said, yes, I accepted it instantaneously. I heard it, I accepted it. Papaji would talk about people like this as camphor. You know, they catch fire and they burn, no ash left. And then there are people, you know, like paper. Catches fire and burns pretty quickly. A little bit of ash left. And then, you know, there's wood. You have to like and fan it, but it catches fire, burns brightly, and leaves a little ash. And then there's the wet wood. That's where the repeating question comes in. But it catches fire, finally. Then there are the stone people. But I have had reports from stone people, and once they catch fire, this is molten heart bursting open. This is the center of the earth. So, however you think yourself to be, you are subject to burning. Just jump in. Stop keeping yourself cool. It's your nature. It's what you've asked for. It's what you've asked for. And I know what you mean. I must have heard it from the moment my search began. I had early on seen a picture of Ramana and been struck by his peace, but dismissed his words as too simple. well, it doesn't really have anything to do with me and my life in the 20th century and a woman in the West. It just doesn't relate to me. It took my hearing it miraculously from Papaji, just to hear it. Oh. Then to be able to go back and see that all along, just as I was saying, it's retroactive, all along it was here, saying, here, all the teachers you have had, known and unknown, religious, secular, spiritual, alive, dead, imaginary, all have been pointing to this, whether they know it or not. It knows itself through all. It's a beautiful paradox that in order to realize the truth of who you are, you have to stop trying to escape yourself. And to even realize that you're trying to escape yourself, you have to tell the truth about who you think you are. Not who you're supposed to think you are, or what your self-esteem course taught you to affirm that you are, but really who you think you are. And I can guarantee you that even if who you think you are is very grandiose, it's limited. And that limitation is painful. Mostly people who come to spiritual meetings don't have grandiose views of themselves. They would like to. That's what they think they're going to get in the spiritual meeting, is trade in the old worn-out model and get a new, grand model. And even that happens somewhat, but in investigation you will see that even the new grand models are limited, and that limitation is painful. Rather than immediately trying to get a newer and better model, or a different model, or a altogether different type of identification. It's possible to not escape the pain of that limitation, to not escape yourself. Most of the activities that we have are about escape. When I met my teacher, I had gathered together many strategies for escape into samadhi, or escape into understanding, or escape into a sort of hodgepodge of a little of my Christian upbringing, a little of what I'd experienced of the Sufis, a little of the Buddhist, and just this big mix so I could feel, and the goddess, don't forget the goddess, and mix it up, feel it, and I could speak about immortal presence, and I could speak of that which always lives. I could know the words, and there was comfort in the words, as there is comfort in reading a nursery rhyme or a story for children. I met my teacher, Papaji, and I went to him with great expectation that he would give me the tool that had been missing from my toolbox, the key that I had somehow overlooked on my circle of keys. He said to me, and he said it several times so that I would be sure and understand he meant exactly what he was saying, but not what I thought he was saying. You follow that? So I will say it to you several times. Throw away your toolbox, at least for this hour. Throw away all of your keys. Throw away every technique, every strategy. Be still. Ask yourself who you are really. When I heard this, I was both excited and frightened. And so I thought I would keep a few of my strategies, like, I'm frightened, so I'll breathe deeply, give good belly breath. And he says, stop. Throw away every strategy, every technique, every tool, every key. Just be here and receive what is offered. I can't say in that moment I received it, but soon after, when I realized, when it could sink in, he really means what he says. He is not teaching me a new mantra or a new practice or a new set of beliefs or a liturgy or a catechism or a cosmology or the way things are and what it means and what will happen and why it came about. All of that he was asking me to release from my field of consciousness, from my mind. Not that any of it was wrong, just that there was a reliance on it, on this hodgepodge that I had created. A reliance on me to give me what I was seeking, and none of it could. None of it can, ever. All of it, all of the holiest scriptures and texts and practices and techniques come from that truth and point to that truth. But there is a moment where there is a leap back into oneself. And that leap always only happens right now. And it always only happens when you are naked of everything but yourself. When you are innocent of what you have learned about who you are and what you need and who you can become and what you have to do to become that. So it is with great honor and joy that I extend to you this invitation, this moment in your life to stop, to retreat from everything you have ever learned, ever, worldly or spiritually, everything you have ever attained, worldly or spiritually, psychically, every power you have ever developed, to take 1 second and retreat from it all. And in that, to tell the truth of who you are. If you are enamored with powers, you can always go right back to your powers. If you're enamored with techniques and strategies, they will be waiting for you. You can pick them up and run with them. But at least there will have been one moment where you could directly experience that the truth of who you are is whole and complete as it is. And your body is not whole and complete as it is. It is an imperfect thing. Your concepts of reality are not whole and complete. They are imperfect and limited. Your emotions are also imperfect and limited. Your circumstances are imperfect and limited. Your understanding is imperfect and limited. And all of it always will be imperfect and limited. That's reality right there. Nothing wrong with imperfection, nothing wrong with limits. The task is not to make what is imperfect perfect. The task is to discover what is already perfect. And to realize that as the truth of yourself. And to realize that now, not tomorrow, not next year, not next lifetime, not yesterday, not when you waked up. Now, only now. When you stop, you attend to what has never moved. When you are still, you recognize the silent presence that is always here. When you tell the truth, you recognize that to be yourself.